Hello, welcome back. So today finally we'll be setting up our Flask application. So let's get started. So here currently I'm in this Flask website. For that you can go to this flask.pelletsproject.com and then this page will open. So first of all, let's learn what is a Flask. A Flask is a lightweight web framework that follows the web server gateway interface standard, and it provides the tool and libraries needed to build a web application from simple to complex using Python. Flask is known for its simplicity and flexibility, allowing developers to choose the components they need without being tied down to a specific structure. So here it's like having a framework and we can choose which database to use, which packages to use, and so on. Okay. So you can go to this user guide. So today we'll be just going through the introduction and we'll be setting up our project. So to set up that, we first need to install the Python. So here we have Python. So you can go to python.org and downloads, and you can go and download the latest Python version or whichever you feel is from this list. So for now, I've installed 3.9 because it's bit more stable than the other latest versions. So you can see here there's still this bug fix and all. I prefer to use 3.10 or 3.9. So once you install Python, if you say python dash dash version, then you should see Python 3.9.9 installed in your machine. Okay, so make sure you are installing it correctly. And after that, once we install Python, it's time for us to understand how we should install the Flask application, right? So let's go step by step. So here, once we install Python version, Flask supports Python 3.8 and newer. So make sure you are installing Python 3.8 or latest. And then when we install Flask, so all these dependencies get installed. Okay. So we'll go one by one later in this project. Okay. So before that, we need to create this virtual environment. So what is this virtual environment and why do we need it? Because let's say you are working on a certain version of your Windows machine or a Mac machine or a Linux machine. But if you use different version of Python, then in that case, the problem would be some dependencies may work in your system or some may not, right? But using a virtual machine, we can use virtual machine to manage the dependencies of our project. So now we'll be building a library application. So there will be certain packages that our library management system would be needing it. So for that, we'll be only bound to that particular dependencies. So we don't have to install those dependencies in our machine, just in the virtual environment. Okay. So it's very easy to create a virtual environment. So we just have to say, let's create a folder, and we need to go to the folder, and then we will run this venv. Okay. So you can either use Python 3 or currently by default, your version Python will be 3. For in my case, if you can see, the version of my Python is 3.9.9. But in your case, if it is still 3.9.9, you can check if Python 3 is installed. You can check from here Python 3. So if you get this, so you should see that the Python is installed, right? So okay, so now let's create a folder. Let's say, so creating folder is very easy. We can say mkdir, so that means make directory, and then we'll be creating a folder named library management, right? So I've created a library management folder. So let's cd into library management. And here, what we'll be saying is we'll be creating a virtual environment. So how will we do that? It's very simple. We can just simply run this command. So let's copy this. So before that, I would like to open or add the folder here. Let's say add folder to workspace. Let's add this library management. Okay. So currently you can see the library management folder is empty. So now if I run this code, python 3-m venv.venv, if I say, let me install. When I run this command, the folder is no more empty. You can see it creates a folder .venv, and now we have certain bin, when certain all these files, we have certain libraries, right? So now we don't really have to go through what all packages or what all things it is doing. For now, let's skip it and let's continue with the tutorial. So this way we have created an environment. Okay. So now we need to activate the environment. So how can we activate that? So we can say, so to do that, you can either run this command in the current directory which you are having. So in our case, library management, or either you can say source, and you can say, so we have inside this venv folder, right? Or now you can say venv bin activate. So you see, so we have currently venv here. Okay. So now currently we are using this virtual environment. Okay. So now whatever packages I installed here, so it will go and install in this virtual environment rather than in the machine itself. So now let's go ahead and install Flask. Okay. So now it's finally time to install Flask. So to install Flask, you can use this pip command. So this is Python command to install the Python packages. Let's install this Flask. It's very simple. We can just simply say pip install Flask. So now you can see here inside this lib. So when I install Flask, you can see that I have certain packages that comes with this Flask. So here I have Flask is dangerous, Jinja 2, markup, pip, setup tools, works, bug, etc. Right? So that means if I didn't create a virtual environment, and then all these packages will go to the global Python folder. Let's say we're working on 100 projects, and these hundreds of dependencies will be added there, and there will be a problem of version dependencies, right? So certain projects may be using certain versions, so that may create a problem. So this is why working in a virtual environment is recommended. Okay. So also, let's go to the Windows process. So for the Windows user also, you can make sure that you have installed Python successfully, Python 3.8 or above, and you can go and create a folder, the same library management, and you can change the directory into the Python project, and you can run Py version 3, and you can create this virtual environment. Okay. And if you want to activate the virtual environment, then you can say .venv script activate. So the other step should be the same as mentioned here. Okay, so far we have learned what Flask is, and also we learned what virtual environment is. Also, we have created a virtual environment, and you can see when we create a virtual environment, it creates a folder here. And also we learned how to install the Flask application. So we just do pip install Flask. But before that, we need to activate our environment. So once we activate our environment, we will see something called like this, side of the name, folder name. Once we activate that Flask, so we can install our application, right? So now we have installed our Flask application, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.